Welcome everyone to round 5 of the NLS 3-hour series from International Racing Team. I'm Tommy Kutashi, one of your hosts today, and today I'm accompanied by the wonderful Mal Legrand. I welcome you two here in the stream, buddy.
Hello everyone, thank you for welcoming me on this stream on the 5th round of the NLS Series 3 Hours on World Sim Series.
Yeah, we will have quite a nice race, quite a stacked grid we have today for the 3-hour race of to this evening. About all the little rules, regulations, and the qualification of the 24-hour race, I think we can discuss that while we are watching the cars going, embarking on their qualifying sessions. So I say let's switch to that right now. So just as always, we have a pretty brief 25-minute qualifying session, out of which the outlap takes a pretty large bite out of it. So people usually have about two laps to set a good qualifying time for themselves. And considering that you will need to deal with 4 different classes of traffic, they will certainly have a pretty tough job.
Yeah, so we can see that the first GT3s are coming on the line soon, hitting the tires.
So yeah, 37 teams and 47 drivers today on the grid. Pretty good numbers if you ask me. Out of which we have some pretty, well, let's say big names in our roadster. For example, the gentleman we're spectating right now, David Osofsky, who had already made one appearance in the NLS 3-hour series and actually did and take the win in the GT3 field in what I believe was round 3 of the series. And this guy might must love these front-engined Japanese race cars, because his first race was with a Nissan GTR GT3, and now he is behind the wheel of a Lexus RCF.
Yeah, so a big change because the GTR is more for straight lines, while the Lexus is a bit more like for the corners, front engine again for the two cars. I think the Lexus is a bit older compared to the GTR, but still a great car to drive, pretty safe.
And this is the first round where I saw several of these RCS. We'll, of course, try to give all of them a little exploration during the qualifying and the race. But it's very nice to see that it's absolutely not just the BMW M4 that people go for now. Apart from the GT3s and TCRs, we also, let's not forget, we do have, I think it is one competitor in the GT4 and Porsche Cup field in GT4, that would be Tatum Raz Tech, who had made I think 2 appearances so far in the NLS series. Once in this McLaren 570S GT4, and they took an absolute dominant win in the first round. They also have took their drivers in GT3 and took a second position in the second round too. So definitely a force to be reckoned with. Also, although not many competitors today for them in the GT4 field, but still damn fast drivers these guys are. And on the other hand, in the Porsche Cup field, we have the, well, I think one of the most prominent fan favorites, Potato Racing, who tend to be very, very lonely competitors. They always just go with, they started GT4 and now they switched to Porsche Cups since last round, and I think these guys never really had more than one other car in their class for these 2-hour races. But hey, they still show up. They still do the entirety of the race best as they can, and they still manage to log in their qualifications for the 24-hour race. Today, for example, they have Vincent Meyer, who have been here with us once, but due to too many incident points, I think it was like 21 incident points, which is just one more, I mean 2 more than what you can get in order to qualify yourself for the 24-hour race. So it just slipped out of his hands last time he was here, but he is back to maybe acquire that qualification. And his teammate today will be Joel Lauterbach, who have not competed here in the NLS 3-hour series so far. So we have a seasoned, well, somewhat seasoned NLS 3-hour driver and a new guy, at least for this series, of course, behind the wheel of this 992 Cup.
Yeah, so the only Porsche Cup today, Potato Racing was mainly in GT4 or SP10. It was a McLaren, so a new category, and maybe this time they will have less incident points, and they will maybe qualify. And here, Muico Motorsports, one of the favorite teams for the victory. So they are on the downfall of the Nordschleife, so basically the end of the circuit.
Yeah, we really have to give credits for these guys, because I don't think there have been a single round in the NLS series so far where at least one Muico Motorsports car was not in the top 3 of the GT3 standings. It's also really cool from these guys that despite securing the qualification for some of their drivers, they still show up. They still give a very fair and very nice competition to all the other GT3 drivers. So they have been one of the most consistent racers here in terms of both performance and just showing up for the series.
And they are the final part of the Nordschleife.
So let's see what that first hot lap will bring to a 8 minute 5.0. That's Certainly not the best qualifying time we saw so far, but pretty good benchmark, as it were.
Yeah, for first time, it's okay. I mean, oh, and there,
It is until we see Tandem Rest, a competitor in the GT3 field as well, not just the McLaren, the GT4, and already smashed the, I think, already smashed the qualifying time record here on the NLS 3-hour series.
yeah,
That's right. So far, the best pole from in GT3 was from Tony Miller from Muki Motorsports, an 8-minute 2.9. But we will need to rework that, as it is a almost 2 entire seconds faster than that. That's, well, it's a very clear sign for the other GT3 drivers what to look out for in the race. And just to go through the stats a little bit, in the Porsche Cup, the best time to beat so far would be an 8-minute 47, set by Christian Gruber in Potato Racing. He is not in the crew today, so we will see if his teammates will be able to get closer to his lap time. The TCR field is interesting case regarding qualifying. It's really tricky spot they are in, because they're just the slowest class on the grid. But I mean, what I was meaning with that is that it takes a certain aspect of strategy, maybe, from these drivers, whether to try to set a qualifying time at all or not. Because if you think about that, if any GT3 drivers or GT4 or Porsche Cup drivers do not set valid lap times in the qualifying, they will, of course, start from the very back of the grid. And you really need to think about that too when you're in the TCR, whether you want GT3s, a bunch of GT3s starting behind you in the start. So it's not an uncommon instance that we see more than half of the TCR grid not even setting a valid lap time in qualifying, but also that could be just due to that it is pretty tough to set a good lap time in keeping the car between the white lines when there are 3 faster classes trying to also do that together with you on the track.
yeah, and moreover, the car is not that easy, so sometimes it's a bit complicated on some parts of the track.
Watching the lead battle for the GT3 will be an absolute show today. As I'm looking through the grid, we don't only have Simone Iazzi from the Tandem Res Tech team, who, as you could see on the little graphic, holds the fastest time so far in the qualifying session for the GT4, that is, but had been in that winner GT4 squad in the first round, and in the one in GT3 that took second position in the second round. So definitely a very strong entrant. But behind them, we also do have the 2 Muki Motorsports cars, I think both of which had finished in the, well, not just the top 3, but also taking wins. For example, Tony Miller in the number 3 car right now is a race winner here too. And even on P4 in the Black Lab Motors car, Dmitry Osovsky is the guy we started with today in the RCF, who took the win for the 3rd running of this series. So we'll definitely have a fireworks for the fight for the lead today.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of pretenders to this victory, so it will be cool at the end of this 3 hours to see who managed well the strategy and who had the pace.
Yeah, and I also love that despite this series serving as a qualification for the NLS 24-hour race, people still take it seriously, and they give it all they got. So they don't just sit back and try to get away as safely, as slowly as they can. But these guys are pushing. A lot of times we do see plenty of spins, aggressive fights, accidents even during those 3 hours. So huge credits for all these people who are showing up to our races and just pushing the living hell out of their cars for these 3-hour sessions with us. So with only a minute down from the qualifying session, in GT3 it's still Ted and Restek who are leading with that absolute beast lap time. I would be actually surprised if anyone would get close to that. Behind them, Muki Motorsports and Muki Motorsports number 3. And obviously in Porsche Cup and GT4 we have these 1-1 competitors, so not too much of competition going on in these classes for the win. But also in TCR we do see lap times here, and IRT SNDR Racing, who are taking the lead with Michal Sindersky behind the wheel. He's also one driver who we could have seen before in the NLS 3-hour series. I think he already secured one valid race for qualification, so this could very well be his 2nd run to secure his position in the 24-hour race. And behind them are Boombox Racing UA and Makareo.com Salsicha, who were also with us. I mean, the latter team at least in the 4th running of the NLS 3-hour series. I don't think if I have seen Boombox Racing in TCR so far. For some reason,
No.
I remember them as a GT3 team.
Yeah, they were a GT3 team with a BMW.
Okay, so it's pretty cool to see them trying it out in another class.
And so we are on the overtime of this qualifying session. And here comes the Ferrari of Steer with no lap times at the moment. Bit of slide. And P12.
Enough, yep, for a 12th position. That will be right in the middle of the action at the start, so they will need to be very cautious. Ooh, a little slide by Latvian Lightning Locomotives. I think this is their first appearance in the NLS TR series, so
Yeah, that's true.
we welcome them here. Very curious to see what will they be able to put up. Pretty well-known name. This team is on the World Sim Series platform, so I wouldn't be surprised if we would see these guys somewhere high up on the grid today. Well, that's a P13, just right behind steer for the Lightning Locomotives. So they will need to start from the middle of the GT3 pack as well. And we will jump to the results of the qualifying session immediately, just so you can all see. So, yes, oh, indeed, because in SP9 we will have, they will have, as I said, an absolute show for the lead. In the first place, it's Statham Res Stack with an 8-minute 1.224. So pretty incredible, nothing like we had seen so far. And behind them, the 3 Muiku Motorsports squads, with the unnumbered one with Jimmy Nizula behind the wheel, being in second place, and their number 2 and number 3 squads following up, with Black Lab Motors being in the 5th position. So just to go through the other classes real quick before the race starts. In TCR, we had Michał Senderski with IRT securing the lead in the class, ahead of Boombox Racing and Makara Okum Salasicha. No other TCR teams or drivers have been able to put up a valid lap, or maybe they did not want to put up a valid lap. It's really up to them. But we're really in for a spicy start, I think, here. And it's just less than half a minute before we embark on the 5th 3-hour race. So let's just jump to the grid. So as always, we will have the rolling start procedure starting in just a few seconds. And then the drivers will just take these few slow corners to the start line, and we will be set for the next 3 hours to see some awesome racing action. Ooh, a little bit trouble in the middle of the pack. Yeah, that's what we discussed with GT3s and TCRs being mixed up. Well, yes, this is a huge disadvantage of a rolling start with collision enabled. Of course, you cannot have it any other way here in the Assetto Corsa, unfortunately. the front of the GT3 grid is set to start the NLS 3-hour race. So it's green, green, green for the 5th running of the NLS 3-hour series, and ready.
Already a drive-through penalty for slow as fun in P6. Oh, whoa.
Quite a bit of clash for the podium
Very
positions here.
aggressive.
3 wide, and
Oh, there's
this is
Alexis.
Lexus going off.
Oh,
That was slow
there's
as
a
fun, and
lot
I
of
also
clash.
saw the GTR of... That could have been... Oh no, it wasn't Black Lab Motors. It was someone else. There was also a Nissan GTR going off the track. So a Corvette returning from the grass. I think that Corvette was also involved in that little rolling start crash, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Quite a troublesome start for our drivers here. But
and already 2 seconds of gap.
it is the first time in this series where we have such a large gap for P1 just even before we leave the GP track at the Nürburgring. Yeah, we had quite the troubles for even the front of the GT3 field. Let's start classic Nürburgring turn 1. So Black Lab Motors actually shot up to 3rd position from that 5th qualifying position.
I think one of the Muiku Motorsports car is missing.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is Jimmy Nizula who went at the chicane. The little rallycross, so 20th position. He will need to do quite some recovery.
And yeah, now he will lose a lot of time because they will battle.
Oh yeah, he has a real hornet's nest in front of him. So we take a quick look at the TCR standings. It is IRT who, I mean the Michal Sendersky car who are leading the TCR field right now. With IRT at Torque Sim Racing already being in the 2nd position, 1 second behind them. Boombox Racing just breathing down their neck. It's already a battle we can see for the 2nd position in the TCR class.
And there is a problem for the NVIA bike. Already 18 seconds behind the group of TCR.
So Boombox Racing could successfully defend our 2nd position so far from Adam Cassoni, who had done an absolute full sweep so far in the TCR class. 4 rounds, 4 wins so far for the Slovakian driver, so the guys ahead of him certainly will need to check their rearview mirrors a lot during this race, especially here at the start. And those GT3s who have fell behind the class will have a pretty tough job of eating themselves through this TCR field, as to be fair, these touring cars have a fight for the top 3 here, so little troubles for I think that, yeah, that's certainly tandem rest stack with the McLaren GT4, and one of the BMWs got caught with them.
And so the P1, so Michael Sandusky has had to lift, and he lost the first position of the TCR. Now it's Boombox Racing, and then at Torque Sim Racing.
And also in GT3, it's Black Lab Motors up to 2nd position, overtaking the Muiki Motorsports squad.
And 6 seconds of gap.
Ooh.
And oh my god,
It's certainly
what is
not
happening?
the right way, that BMW. That was Gojira Racing. We'll need to recover. Certainly not a fortunate return, and also troubles for that Audi TCR.
We can see that the drivers are really aggressive on this start and pushing to the limit.
Yeah, quite a lot of trouble for everyone. Wonder how many people will need to go to the pits immediately at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, they are really pushing to the limit at the moment. It's a bit crazy. And some damages for the Boombox Racing car. We can see it. I don't know if it will affect the car mainly. Oh, there's the Porsche behind that spun, and he's in the barrier. A lot of chaos on this first lap, while the leaders are coming on the line right now.
Yeah, Tandem Restec already having a 6-second lead ahead of Black Lab Motors.
Yeah, that's crazy. The pace they have, 7 seconds in one lap. It's a lot.
Of course, Black Lab had to have a fight with the Muiki Motorsports cars for that 2nd position, but still, it's already an absolute clinical drive by Tandem Restec.
And the Gojira Racing team drive through from race direction. It's maybe because of the incident that caused the TCR spin right before the carousel.
Yeah, that rejoin was kind of wacky from the Brazilians.
Seems sliding for this Muico Motorsports car.
Yeah, they try to require that second position from Black Lab Motors as fast as they can. And Almost Motorsport can also just not let go of the V8 fight with Steer. They are right in the back of that Ferrari for quite a while now. So Rostislav Antonov driving this Mercedes had already secured their place on the 24-hour race, but Fabian Melelier in the Ferrari ahead of him have not. They actually need this race or any of the next ones to have their positions too. So that might be something to consider for them. How aggressive they want to defend their position if they will get attacked by that Mercedes, because hoarding up a ton of incident points at the beginning of the race is never good for you when you're needed to drive 3 hours in the Nordschleife.
Oh, and the Ferrari nearly spun. Good save. And we just saw a drive-through from for the Cyber Runners Racing for crossing the pit lane exit. Line exit, yeah. Pit lane line exit that was crossed.
A classic mistake we are not seeing for the first time now in the series. Could be, I think, one of the, if not the most annoying thing to get a penalty for.
And the Mercedes and Ferrari need to be careful because the BM behind is closing up.
Yeah, it's the Muki Motorsports car with Nizula behind the wheel who are recovering their positions actually quite well after that mistake at the chicane. I don't know if that was a mistake on their own or whether they was sent off, but they are already back to the top 10. Where they started, yes, they started from second position, so they certainly have the pace to be more ahead in the grid. And we might be seeing a three-way fight here for the 8th position. Actually, maybe the
First long pits are done for VCH French.
oh, and take from the outside from the
Yeah.
Ferrari of Steer, pretty nice move, and Muki Motorsports can also capitalize on that. The Mercedes was just sent off. I mean, not literally physically, but on the ideal line, so they could also get their hang on it. And Ragtag Crew on P11 will also be able to attack that Mercedes. For him, the carousel. Oh, they actually went for the sideline. Quite an aggressive move, if you ask me. They kind of went on the grass.
A very aggressive move, yeah.
So Almost Motorsports, they lost 3 positions in just a matter of a few corners. From here I could almost feel the tension and concentration that BMW was right on the edge behind the Ferrari through these corners, and they might be able to, not just might, they will absolutely be able to make use of their physics to pass that Ferrari into the Tingar hole. So Miku Motorsports is up to P8, trying to recover as much as they can.
There is a big gap, 7 seconds and then 12 seconds. And so the gap between Tatum Race Tech and Black Lab Motors is still quite the same. Stabilization, while the Muko Motorsport is a bit further away.
Yeah, the pace of the first three drivers absolutely settled down now for a bit. Steer will be having to check the rearview mirrors because Ragtag crew are also coming in hot for their position. This is a team that also had their first entry in the NLS series right now. Better yet, they started from 21st position and already up to P10 and counting, so pretty strong start from.
Oh, and the Ferrari is off. Yeah, so P9, not even battling, just wait for the mistake.
Yeah, as I discussed earlier, in the Ferrari might go for safety rather than ego here, as he already was eligible for qualification. I mean, his first race for that was eligible in the last round, and he finished somewhere in the between 15th and 20th position. So had a pretty uneventful race the last time. Better be safe than sorry. Oh no, sorry, I confused them with someone else. They actually finished 9th with the Aston Martin Vantage GT3, and now they switched to the Ferrari 296. So pretty exotic car choices. If we take a look at the remainder of the grid. It's another fight starting between 47 Racing and Tiger Motorsport.
Oh. And
47 Racing had a pretty strong kiss with the wall. You might not be used for that ambulance standing there, but still a pretty hard hit with the wall at the foxhole. So the Tiger Motorsport Racing team had a pretty easy jump with getting that 5th position out of their hands. Pretty hard hit for the BMW, but suspension is seeming to be okay. No erratic steering movements or misalignment here. So they were might have been actually quite lucky getting out of that crash alive and well, but still lost their 5th position. Fight between Latvian Lightning Locomotives and Exodus Motorsport will also. Now you help me. Oh, I wasn't looking at the screen. That was Exodus Motorsport going out and well, quite a lot of accidents happening in the first
Yeah.
few laps. I'm not really used to this in this series, that we see so many cars touching the walls. Ooh, and
Ouais.
Mercedes also having a little slide. I think they actually surprised the Lightning locomotives by that a bit, because they thought they would need him to be avoiding the Mercedes going across the track sliding, so an unintentional but effective move by Duoc. Now you help me pronouncing that, because it's read and sounds French enough for me.
And so that Mercedes now is in front, but careful with the Porsche because she's coming behind them. And maybe a move with a slipstream.
Yeah, the Lightning locomotives are certainly looking to get that position back in this very fast section of the track. From Duoc Pavaro GT.
Yeah, so Duoc Pavero. Oh, yo, sorry. Duoc Pavero Racing. Sorry if I mispronounce it. Is clearly under pressure now. Oh, and a great
Several
move.
podium battles in the TCR field going on, but between Torque Sim Racing and SNDR Racing, and Siren Speed Demons and Boombox Racing for P1 and P3 respectively. Torque Sim Racing is now up to the first position in TCR.
And a driver full taken for Gojira Racing Team.
Speed Demons trying to go a little defensive. Boombox Racing could almost execute that nice switcheroo, but not quite enough space before the carousel there. So they will need to be aware of that GP3 approaching. Also, a clash is on for P3 and GT3 between two Muiku Motorsports cars, number 2 being ahead of the number 3 squad. Yes, it's Aero Lapila in the number 2 and Tony Miller and the number 3, as we actually could get used to that. It's the order they pick their cars since a few rounds now. The family team from the top 10 are in the pits. I wonder the reason is for that is strategy or damage control.
And the driver taken for slow as fun, so it was the jump start.
fight for third position in both GT3 and TCR. We will keep an eye out on both battles as much as we can. Two TCRs just approaching the long straight section of the Nordschleife, while the two Moiko Motorsports cars are just embarking on the out of the GT layout. Oh, and Boombox Racing actually had a little excursion in the grass, going for the Duttinger Ho at the BMW GT3 by. So it's a little breathing room for the speed demons.
It's a bit tricky sometimes with traffic on the Nordschleife. You need to manage it well if you're on a slower class. But also the GT3 needs to be careful with you. And it's quite like sometimes it's difficult to understand each other.
Yeah, that was I think by far the most terrible corner that you could mess the exit up, because it's just before the longest straight section of the track. So it would have been very fortunate for Boombox Racing if they could just overtake Siren's speed demons with the help of Slipstream, but they will need to either be patient behind them for one entire lap once again, or just to force a mistake out of that Cupra in front of them. When the speed demons took that corner a tad too wide, it's a very weird mistake from them, because it wasn't really forced out by Boombox Racing. That Audi wasn't close enough for any attacks, so pretty interesting mistake from the speed demons. But that's Boombox Racing up to P3 and TCR filled for you. Although I'm pretty sure that the speed demons will not just let go of that.
Yeah, that's sure.
Also, Steer and Almost Motorsports are back in business with each other.
Second round.
Ferrari very aggressively, a little bit on the grass there.
We can see the Ferrari really pushing to get back to her position.
It's also tempting that they are close enough to rectac through. They can, in straight enough sections, they can see the back of that BMW, so whoever wins this fight might be able to just go after P8. I suspected the speed demons are still well within overtaking distance behind Boombox Racing and TCR also.
What a great speed in straight line for the Mercedes.
Yeah, very fast, but also very stable car due to that heavy engine up in the front. So down the carousel we go, and Steer is closer than ever to Mercedes, at least in this lap. And
In a lot
Weirby
of
got
time.
a 207-second stop and go.
That's quite a lot. I don't
That's
know.
almost
Never true.
almost double of a long pit stop. That is, long stop is 120 seconds. Ooh, and they send in the inside line. A very nice move from Steer. I think kind of surprised almost Motorsports there by executing that move right there, right now, but it was absolutely clean and clinical. They just saw the gap and went for it. Very, very nice move from Steer, and the gap is larger for almost Motorsport now than it was for Steer behind them, so very nice getaway for the Ferrari. After losing a few positions, now they are fighting back. Also for P7, 47 Racing is having a run for Muki Motorsports. We'll take a little tour in the grass. I just wanted to say that they are recovering their positions very nicely after that trouble at the start, and lost that 6th position back to 47 Racing, so you know, to recover again.
And so the best lap is for Tatum Race Tech in P1 with 8 minutes 5 seconds, and they have a gap of 11 seconds now. So the gap is clearly increasing a little bit each lap, so good operation at the moment.
Yeah, the absolute race lap record is still to be smashed by them if they were successfully beating the qualifying lap record. That would be an 8 minute 3.397. But we are only half an hour into the race, so Muku Motorsports into the pits from 7th position.
Yeah, maybe the first long pit for them.
But they're only supposed to have one long pit all through the race. And now the Corvette of Team Ringsting that we could see behind these TCRs when they were fighting are taking their chance to pass the TCRs and go after the GT3 field. And Siren's Speed Demons is still considerably close to Boombox Racing, so the fate of the 3rd position in the TCR class is anything but decided.
Careful with the Corvette because it's since enough time that she's behind that TCR.
And IRT SNDR Racing had actually re-overtaken at Torque Sim Racing. Very interesting change in the TCR lead.
these two drivers know them well. They just basically drive every time together. So it will be an interesting battle.
These two guys have already secured a 1-2 in the, what was the second round of the NLS 3-hour series, so very strong TCR competitors. Swiderski was only just half a minute behind Cassoni at that race, so but it will be up to Cassoni now to try and reacquire the TCR lead for themselves.
Oh, a bit of off track for Sandusky. And just a little question about these two drivers. Did they announce that they will drive together on the 24 hours now, or they will drive separate teams? Do we know already, or?
I wouldn't be surprised if yes. I'm trying to think about that. I think so far I have seen a total of 5 drivers from IRT. Maybe 6 drivers from IRT. I don't know how many of them will actually compete for the team in the 24-hour race. But yes, as you said, these two guys are well known for sitting in the same car for these endurance races, so wouldn't at all be surprising if they would end up in the same crew for the 24-hour race. Lightning locomotives trying to recover those positions. Oh, and
Yeah.
camera switch. Because of the camera switch, I just missed whether there were contact between these two cars.
Yeah, we don't really know if they touch or not.
So Sony might be waiting patiently behind Swiderski for the long straight section of the track, although they are only at about halfway past the lap, so he's certainly a good enough driver for an overtake on any other part of the track. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw an attack earlier than the Tingarho. But the gap in between these two cars is pretty stable. So Cassoni is keeping his distance behind the other IRT car. And Miku Motorsports from P4 is in the pits as
The
well.
pits, yeah.
And that's the number 3 squad with Tony Miller. We're slowly but surely approaching the first pit window for the fuel tank and the tire life of the GT3s, exactly. It's a tiny bit early maybe, but it could be a strategic decision. Scassoni is
Normally,
now... Oh, sorry, go on.
yeah, normally the TCRs will pit on the next lap. Yeah, normally if the race strategy is like don't just undercut, and just a normal strategy, it will be on the next lap. And for the GT3s, it can be a bit later if they did some fuel saving, but I think mainly will pit also on the next lap.
As for the TCRs, I do know that the Elantra has a better fuel economy than the Cupra TCR car, so they could also play a little role in there, although you cannot really be fuel saving when there's someone breathing down your neck, being right in your rear bumper, as we can see. The two cars almost touch, but not quite. Cassini now sending pretty clear signals of his intentions. Trying to get on the nerves of his opponent as much as he can before the straight section.
Yeah, push him to the limits and the mistake after.
Those cars are very, very close to each other, and any mistake from any of them would be fatal for both of them, but pretty clinical driving so far.
Very close.
It would be actually funny to see just the bomb drafting between them to get as far away from the rest of the TCR field as they can, but I don't believe that will be the case. I think it will be Cassoni now just going past Sanderski and taking the lead out of their hands. Sanderski trying to break slipstream, but you can only swerve so many times before you need to settle on one racing line. Cassoni down on the inside line, exactly. But this side-by-side into the braking before the last turns of the stretch, or not just the stretch, but the entire track. And it's Cassoni now who will go through the finish line, the start-finish line, leading the TCR field. It was very interesting to see that Cassoni kept the gap between its two cars basically just around 0.6, 0.7 seconds for almost an entire lap, and then started to have an absolute siege for the lead in just the last, I say, fifth of the track. But Sanderski is certainly not letting go of that, and still within half a second. Zhu already suspected with TCR's boombox racing from third position is in the pits, so I don't know if the speed demons will also go for their pit stop. If not, that will be an interesting strategy difference we can see between the two fighters for the third position.
Yeah, exactly. We can see that the field is mainly stretched above mainly track, but like the final part of the track is not totally taken by the cars, but we can see that the repartition of the cars are on the global part of the track. So very different pace, maybe different strategies also, and also incidents. Little mistake here for the Porsche. And so long pit done for Boombox Racing. And personal best lap, oh no, fastest lap for Tedium Mistake with 8.5.6. And not in the pits for this GT3.
Yeah, as for the long pits, for the TCRs, the in-game pit crew works actually slow enough that if you take a full tank of fuel, it will take more than what the time for a long pit is. So you can actually you don't actually need to pay deliberate attention to staying in the pits for long enough. You can just basically make your long pits one of your regular full tank pit stops in that category. Crazy Matador couldn't quite get close enough and exit to be considerably closer to almost motorsports, so the 8th position in GT3 will stay in the AMG driver's hands, at least for the time being. Steer also in the pits.
Yeah, the Ferrari.
And 47 Racing, I think they are... Ooh, a move from the Porsche in the first corner.
Yeah. What a great move. Late braking.
Yeah, they actually managed to get closer. Close enough for an overtake. If not at the long straight, but the home straight of the GP tracks. Very nice move from Crazy Matador. Now with the cars pitting ahead of them, shooting themselves up to 6th position. What I was about to say is that 47 Racing are doing their driver swap. I think I could just see them disconnecting. So the long stop for that team will be done as well.
And we don't see it on the screen, but the Porsche Cup of Potato Racing is actually doing a great job. P18 in Virginia Row.
Yeah, overall, the Porsche Cup is the second fastest class on the entire track, so it will be finally lovely to see some competition for these guys. I'm really curious how they could have their stand against other teams. I also love that they always pick these, well, I think we could say more obscure choices than just GT3 or TCR. Two races done in GT4 and two in the Porsche Cup class. So a little clash at the back of the GT3 field between Burr Pro and Team Ring Sting. Actually, both drivers have already won eligible race for the in the last 24 hours. So, ooh, a spin for the Porsche. And it's extremely easy to lose the rear end of that car. Unfortunately for them,
Yeah.
no one came close behind them, so they could execute that rejoin. And well, nobody collected them while they were spinning out.
Yeah, actually, great save. Unfortunately, a little spin. Now the driver needs to reconcentrate and return on the zone of focus to try to avoid this type of mistake.
So the Lightning locomotives are getting closer and closer to unstable team. Last time we checked, the LLL team were P17, I think so.
Yeah, exactly. P17 for them, and now they are P13. Yeah, so quite improving.
Just checking that which driver of the unstable team is behind the wheel right now, because we had seen quite a few entries from them, or if not quite a few, but we did see plenty of drivers getting their qualifying races on with this team. So it's Igor Kashirin and just let me check who the other driver is. It's Pavel Oseni, who is a new kid on the block for the NLS series. So the team trying to get 2 more drivers into the 24-hour race. Kashirin, who is behind the wheel right now, does have 1 race so far, which is eligible for the 24 hours, so they do a clean enough job today. He will be set to participate in the 24-hour race. We're talking a lot about that qualification process, so just to clear things up, in order to be eligible for qualification for the NLS 24-hour race we will hold in September, it will be the 12th and 13th. You basically just need to do at least 2 NLS 3-hour races with less than 5 laps of a gap behind your class leader and less than 20 incident points. So far from experience, the latter criteria seem to be more decisive than former, so it's very rare to see from us that someone is more than 5 laps behind the leader. The pack usually stays fairly close to each other. But those incident points, especially on this track, are kind of easy to hoard up. Although we did see people with acquiring, I think, if maybe it wasn't 0, but definitely less than 5 incident points all through the 3-hour race, so it's definitely doable. So we can see quite a few pit stops as the regular fuel and tires pit stops in the GT3 field.
Yeah, exactly. We can see that most of the teams are making their long pit stop now, so they won't have to do it at the end of the race.
When the Lightning locomotive is just going for their pit stop, as I was
on the
switching to
inside
them.
VBM.
Yep. Now bear in mind that Porsche is the Porsche Cup car of potato racing. It's not a GT3 competitor, so Nexer's Motorsport still puts up quite a fight trying to get past that Porsche. The mighty potato racing just less than true out of mercy before the long straight section. And Ragtag Crew is now approaching Alzheimer Racers.
Yeah.
I think actually, right at the start of the race, I don't know if you remember, but I said there was a Nissan GT3 from somewhere from the lead of the GT3 pack who went out of the track just before the first corners. I think that was Alzheimer Racers.
Yeah, because I think it's the only one GTR on the field today. So yeah, maybe on the inside the BM, yeah. Careful to don't collide.
Indeed, they are the only Nissan. So yes, it actually indeed was them. So getting back to P7, even with a lot of pit stops going on, Still a quite good feat from them. And Slow as Fun is also getting closer and closer to unstable team. Now we need to talk about this driver, Ralph Czernowskis, behind the wheel of this Lexus. I think he had been one of the, if not the most consistent drivers so far in the NLS series, not just in terms of showing up for all 4 rounds so far, but he finished 6th, 6th, 7th, and 6th so far in the first 4 rounds. So
yeah, that's impressive. And we got the bad news for Steer. They had a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so they will lose quite of time on this penalty. So normally they won't be on the top 10 after that penalty.
and bear in mind that P7 for this Lexus and Czernowskis involved a quite a heavy crash, actually. Them spinning out, not just spinning out, hitting the wall in one of the tight sections of the track. Ooh. Is the Ragtag crew trying to both lap the Cooper TCR and the Vertical Hammer Racers.
Yeah. And also, I think it was this car, so it was the Lexus and the GTR who spun on the start, so at the end of turn 2. But I think there was also an incident before the start of the race, the beginning of the rolling start.
Yes, exactly.
And I think this GTR had a little contact, but I'm not sure.
So IRT Athrox Sim Racing also in the pits from the TCR lead. So just to not leave any thought unfinished, just to wrap up real quick, what I was saying about Slow as Fun is that the only time they didn't finish P6 was when they basically just spun out in a very tight section of the track and had been hit by a Corvette and still managed to still managed to bring that car back to P7. So
it was on the straight line before the carousel. Yeah. Then they spun and the Corvette went and couldn't avoid it. Yeah.
So leaders in the pits, alert leaders in the pits, Tadam Restek and Black Lab Motors, both GT3 leaders, are going for their pit stops, as well as Muyuki Motorsports, so they're in the same strategies. And Black Lab Motors just jumped ahead of Tadam Restek in the leaderboard. I thought they could utilize some better strategy to overtake Tadam Restek, but that's not the case. They are both sitting in the pits. Oh no, sorry, it is the case. So Black Lab Motors overtaken Tadam Restek in the pit lane for the GT3 lead.
Yeah, and they
Restek is
didn't
doing
make,
their long pit, so that might be the reason why, not
yeah,
strategy.
and Black Labs motors didn't make the long pit stop, so that's why.
Oh, that explains it then. Yeah, the GT3 quad of Restek is single driver entry, so only Simon Iedzi behind the wheel today. It's actually quite interesting to see them doing the long stop fairly early in the race. So Burpro and Team Ringsting are still very much at it. Porsche is still being behind the Corvette, but I'm not sure whether for long or not, because they are as close as they will ever be, and Porsche going down inside, and yeah, the Corvette just taking the corner a bit too wide on the grass, so
And
Burpro,
we got a drive-through for Cyber Runners Racing from race direction.
if I recall
And
correctly,
again,
didn't they already have a penalty earlier in the race?
yeah, yeah. And stop and go of 10 seconds also. But I don't know for which team. It was for.
Well, in the timing, I can only see Cyber Runners having an SG10.
Yeah, it was that. It's an SG10 for Cyber Runners speeding in the pit lane. And moreover, a drive-through from race direction. So 2 penalties.
So now that we are through the first wave of pit stops and we're actually a small bit past the first hour of the race, let's just recap a bit how the lead for each class is going. So it's Black Lab Motors after the first wave of GT3 pit stops, who are leading the race overall and in the GT3 field, of course, with Muku Motorsports number 2 with Aero Lapila behind the wheel, currently holding second position, and a Ragtag crew who I don't think they were already in a position this high in the race so far. So good drive from this crew as well, and bear in mind that Terum Restek in P4 are the only ones from the GT3 lead who had done their pit stops, their long pit stops, I mean.
And another drive-through for crossing the pit line exit.
That was a Crazy Matador, I think.
Yeah.
Also in GT3.
I think they are on GT3, yes.
So moving on real quick, in TCR it's IRT SNDR Racing who are leading the TCR pack, with switching their positions back and forth with IRT Athork Sim Racing. So the two IRT teams are so far looking out the first two positions in the TCR field, as Boombox Racing are currently sitting in the third position among the touring cars. And of course, let's not forget about the one and only Tandem Tech team. I mean the one running in the GT4 category. It's a low entry and a little cosmetic damage on that McLaren. Currently trying to, not just trying to, but successfully lapping that DCR. Safe and sound race for them so far.
Yeah,
And
the second race car of Restec team.
And the one and only Potato Racing in the Porsche Cup class. Looking to secure both them and Ted and Restec some more drivers into the 24-hour race. So that's how we roll up after just an hour, more than an hour of racing. Well, it's a 3-day fight for P13 and GT3. Currently Crazy Matador trying to overtake the other, one of the other Hungarian squads, Strandkolletkik Motorsport, and 47 Racing. Oh, and a spin from one of the BMWs.
Yeah,
I think that was it was 47 Racing. Damn, it's really hard that all of these BMWs have the exact same liveries, but it was 47 Racing who couldn't quite hold themselves and lost the car, but recovered successfully, so it seems, without major damages. In the top 10, also Tiger Motorsports closing onto Breaking Bad. Quite an aggressive style of driving from Tiger Motorsport. Really with, on the limits with that BMW, but it's a very bad position on the track to lose the rear of your car, because there's only a very tiny patch of grass between you and the guardrails. Especially with a car closely behind you, that they can turn any collision into something much more worse for not only for you but for them. A lot of loose rear ends for this team.
Yeah, that's really close. Really pushing to the limits.
So quite a few position swaps happening in the midfield of the GT3 class. Latvian Lightning Locomotives overtaking, I believe it was Unstable team in the EMG. And the Lightning Locomotives, I think, also embarked on their pit stop as they are back to P18. Unstable team will need to check their rearview mirrors as yep, the Ferrari of Steer were closing by fast, and he didn't need to do any hard work for that overtake, as the AMG was sliding a bit too wide for the corner, and behind them are already there was a Scala racing team, so Unstable team losing quite a few positions in just a matter of a pretty short time. Well, the middle part of the race not going so well for Unstable team.
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated.
Already at 14 incident points, also they need to pay attention to that.
And now we can see that the Porsche of Crazy Matadors take precautions on the speeding.
Yeah,
They don't want another penalty.
no need to hoard up even more penalties. To be fair, they got their penalty for crossing the line, not speeding.
Oh, okay.
But still, yes, I believe they will be twice as more cautious as they already were with the pit entry and the pit exit. This can be very detrimental to your driving, because even if you're immaculate on the track, just a little overshooting in terms of speed in the pit entry, or just touching the Okay, so supposedly we are back after
Yeah.
some connection issues. I'm terribly sorry for that. It's like our internet provider is acting up once again, but we are back to the track, and I just switched back to Muku Motorsports, going off track and having contact with the guardrails.
Yeah, and maybe some little damages on the car. We saw it going to the barrier.
Very interesting mistake, because Tony Miller is not one person known for making mistakes like this, especially that they are unbothered by anyone else. Ooh, but that suspension of that BMW is pretty
Yeah,
messed up, or I don't know. It seemed weird in the into the
yeah,
entry
we
of
can.
that corner, but
The steering wheel seems like he's going a bit more on the right.
well, I cannot decide from here. Yes, you might be right. Still pretty weird seeing this sort of mistake from actually any of the Muku Motorsports drivers, but especially Miller, who's a race winner already. And of course into the pits to fix those
Yeah,
damages they are immediately.
and it's going to be complicated for them.
Yeah, the second half of the race might be about recovery for them, as much as they were
And
fighting. Oh, and the
mistake.
Lightning locomotives also having a kiss with the wall. Wasn't quite severe of a collision, but still they will lose quite some time. So it's a fight for fourth position in TCR. Makara Okamsa is just a second behind Siren's Speed Demons. Speed Demons were fighting for third position, but now are quite a hefty deficit behind Boombox Racing. Wonder what happened to the Speed Demons squad that they lost so much time. Because them, Boombox Racing and Makara Okamsa also have done a long pit. As we discussed, that could have been just a full tank of fuel, but what matters is that no different pit strategies are involved here, so and now that the action had settled down a bit on track, Or maybe I jinxed it, as BZH French are just a second behind family team. I was just about saying that the field is now quite stretched out in the field, but still you can still find a few fights. Like, ooh, just side by side going in the curve, that portion that was pretty detrimental for their defense, as BZH French could make their move onto 22nd position. And 47 Racing behind Exers Motorsport within half a second, so we're just at the beginning of the Nordschleife stretch. We did see the drivers of both teams in the 3-hour series. Strong, I'd say, midfield contenders they are. They having their clash for the 12th position. Two Serbian drivers behind the wheel of the 47 team, and just one Hungarian behind the wheel of Exers Motorsport. We usually see this team running duos, but only a solo entry now. Muki Motorsports number 3 out of the pits after that damage repair and ready, trying to just start reacquiring those positions, starting with Breaking Bad in P9 in the top 10. I really wonder where Tony Miller will be able to finish this race, because he is certainly a fast enough driver to be in the top of the field, but he will have an extremely tough job of making all the time deficit back with half of the race left. And bear in mind that in the GT3 field, it's only Ted and Restek who have done their long pit stops, along with Muki Motorsports number 3, of course, so that could as well mean some strategic advantage over the cars in front of them. But no Black Lab Motors, the number 2 Muki Motorsports team and Rectech crew have neither done their long stops yet. Ooh, and Kubilas behind the wheel of the Breaking Bad BMW kind of lost the control over the car, but recovered nicely without any major collisions. This guy isn't a new face in this series. We could already see him 3 times in the first 3 rounds, and he had already made his qualification for the 24-hour race, but very nice to see him back into the competition. And so I suspected Tony Miller is just making those positions up quick as he can, already attacking almost Motorsports for 8th position. Although there will be quite some air after that Mercedes, as they have a 23-second between them and Alzheimer Racers, who will be next in the standings and 7th position, but so far it's up to Miller to take 8th position out of the hands of Almost Motorsport and approach them at just the right time before the long straight, and got a very nice exit out of that corner. So Almost Motorsport can at least make use of that slipstream behind Muku Motorsports to get as far from Breaking Bad as possible, so they will not be able to get that 8th position on their hands anytime soon. So Muku Motorsports is in the pits, the unnumbered team with Jimmy Nizula behind the wheel. At least so far he was driving the car. And I say, as we are just a tiny bit past of the half of the race, we could take a little breather, as it were, just sitting in the cars of our drivers to get some cool onboard footages and set ourselves for the second part of the race. So after that, so after a long pit stop, Tadam Restek is back into the competition for the top 3 places, approaching Ragtag Crew. And quite a pace difference between these two cars were on the qualifying, but I'm very curious whether the Ragtag Crew will show some defense skills against that Aston Martin. Although this is a bit unfortunate place for them if they wanted to protect that 3rd position, because we are just approaching the Tingaro straight, so yes, exactly, they can defend against driver skill, but they cannot defend against just plain physics. I mean, they could slingshot back, maybe. I cannot really make out the distance between the two cars perfectly, but oh, the BMW is still pretty close. They could steal some slipstream from the Porsche Cup of Potato Racing, so that came in lucky for them. So it's Tadum Restek up to 3rd position, with Ragtag Crew being right under bumpers. And yes, a textbook try at acquiring that position. Oh, and just a try. Oh, yes, going a bit too wide, kind of overshooting that braking from that BMW, but still managing to get that car back ahead of the vantage of Tadum Restek. And the fight is continuing on the GP track, and quite an aggressive move from Tadum Restek, pushing that BMW off track there. They were side by side going into that left-hander, but pretty aggressive from Hiadzi to put that BMW outside on the grass there.
Yeah, really pushing hard.
Deal, we have quite the distance to make up, as Muiku Motorsports and Blackland Motors are pretty far from them. The 2 leaders are almost about at the halfway of the track, but Tadum Restek is just only approaching the end of the GP stretch right now. But they still have, still don't just have an hour and 60 minutes, but they still have, they also have the advantage of doing their long stop earlier than the other 2 guys in the lead.
Yeah, this is a really important fact to notice, because they will lose, the leaders will lose 120 seconds after that pit stop, so it's quite a lot.
What was up with that Corvette? That's Team Rings thing. They just went right into the wall in the straight. But that was weird. I don't know. That was some connection or maybe hardware issue, but no other car were actually close, so no one put them in the wall. That was really weird to see. And into the pits they go. I wouldn't be surprising if they got some damage from that hit from the wall.
An interesting battle there.
And it is
Oh no, it's
actually,
not about
yes, it's actually not for position. Motorsports number 3 just trying to lap a Porsche.
And normally there are blue flags. The Porsche, it's done now. Okay.
It might be either per pro or family team, I think. It was family team, yeah. But now Miller is past them, and more importantly, he's only 10 seconds behind Alzheimer Racers. Remember that the gap was about 23 seconds when he had overtaken Almost Motorsports for the 7th position he's standing on right now. So he is actively closing down that gap on P6. And after Alzheimer Racers, it will be actually doubled at a 46-second gap to Slow as Fun. Bear in mind that Slow as Fun is now on P5, so they might set their best ever finish in the NLS 3-hour series. But of course, we still have then an hour to go until the finish line. A lot of GT3 traffic. Miller has to pass, and BMW went off. Yeah, that was Gojira Racing Team. They actually went and lost their positions to family team. If you could see the Porsche approaching behind them. New fastest time set by Muki Motorsports number 2, Eero Lepila beating Simon Eads' best lap time. And they do need to push if they want to maintain that second position of theirs. We're down a little gap from 9 to now 7 seconds behind Black Lab Motors, but still quite a bit of gap between them and the leaders. But so far they are on pretty much the same strategy, so this could very well boil down to raw pace between these two entrants. But Tandem Restek is just getting closer and closer to them as we speak. So they are well within the long stop range. So whenever Black Lab Motors and Muiku Motorsports number 2 go on their long pits, Tandem Restek will be back to the race lead. That is if they don't suffer any accidents until then, but I think it's safe to say if no one else causes them any, they will be safe and sound. 47 Racing, approaching Crazy Matador for the last of the top 10 spots. It's also interesting to see that the main Muyuki Motorsports team, currently sitting on P13, haven't made any progress back into the P10, but they have done their driver swap, so it's actually a new guy, Riku Martikainen, behind the wheel for them. His first time at the NLS 3-hour series. But they were absolutely near the top 5, so it's very interesting to see them so relatively far back behind. Maybe Martikainen will be able to recover quite a few of those positions. Let us just wait and see about that. Because they started on 2nd position. Don't be fooled by the graphic saying 6, they qualified 2nd. And the number 3 Muyuki Motorsports squad is slowly but surely, very surely, getting closer to Alzheimer Racers. And now the gap, which was just 10 seconds, down to 5. So I'm actually curious if they will be able to get within striking distance behind the Nissan GTR of Alzheimer Racers within this lap. And Tony Miller, who is behind the wheel of this BMW, actually hadn't missed a podium spot in the NLS 3-hour series so far. So in all 4 rounds, he was the one who also, I think he actually is the only one in the GT3 field so far who was also always there in the podium. So that would be a P2 in the first race, first position in the second race, and third, and then second in the third and fourth rounds. So this might be the first race for him where he won't be able to finish on the podium, although of course we'll need to wait and see about that, because just as much anything could happen to him in this race, anything could happen to the people in front of him. And also let's bear in mind that he had already done their long stop, just as Ted and Restek did, so they have a massive strategic advantage in their hands compared to the drivers ahead. So that considered, I think by just raw time, they are virtually absolutely set to be near the podium spots at the end of the race. They just need to make sure that they don't make any more hard contacts with that BMW, because another damage repair would certainly set them very far back in the top 10 of the field. So just to correct myself, actually, talking a bit about this crew, Doc Pavaro GT, as much as French that name looked to me, the driver is a Lithuanian one, Rokas Sviderskis, who is currently steering that AMG GT3 in the 12th position. And certainly not unfamiliar to the Nordschleife, as he scored second place last year on the Ring Freaks Nürburgring 24-hour race. In the GT3 Pro-Am category, so definitely a force to be reckoned with. And yes, as we suspected, Muki Motorsport did close down that gap to Alzheimer races. Oh, plenty of things happening at once. Tatrum Restak is getting back the lead finally for them now, not just virtually but physically, from Blackline Motors and Muki Motorsports number 2, who once again go for their pit stops at the exact same time. So very similar strategies, these two teams, and also Ragtag crew choosing. You might be seeing the long stops done by these people. And also Tony Miller is now right on the tail of Alzheimer racers. Yes, the straight line top speed of the GTR is absolutely mental, so they were side by side for the last part of the straight, but the Alzheimer racers chose the smarter route and let Tony Miller by. So long pit done for Blackline Motors and Muki Motorsports number 2 as well, who came back now 2 positions behind their teammate Tony Miller. And Cernevskis, who is currently in second position, is yet to do his long stop, so Muki Motorsports number 3 is already up to the 3rd position. At least strategically, of course. And Alzheimer racers might be overtaken by not just one but 2 Muki Motorsports BMWs in a very short amount of time, as Eero Lapila, just out of the pits from his long pit, is also trying to hunt down that Nissan for currently 5th position. The number 3 and the number 2 squads of Muki Motorsports were quite close to each other at the beginning of the race. They were essentially just trailing each other, so they might be able to do their little reunion now and just be back together. Oh! Some contact between the Muki and the Alzheimer racers cars, both doing a pirouette in the chicane. What happened there? It was quite heavy contact between the 2 cars. That will This will be pretty detrimental for both teams. They were both holding quite good positions. I wonder if there are any serious damages done for any of these cars. Because if yes, that's an absolute bummer, as we are right in the beginning of the track essentially, so trying to bring a broken car around a track that takes a bit more than 8 minutes with a completely healthy car can absolutely destroy your race. So a pretty hot moment between Alzheimer Racers and Muku Motorsports number 2, who now remain in the 6th position with a 3-second gap behind Alzheimer Racers. Bear in mind that the Alzheimer team also did not do their long stop yet. Oh, and a mistake from Alzheimer Racers that Muku Motorsports ride back for the fight for the position. They're going side by side, not as much now that Lapila had made their move on the outside to finally get that P5. Certainly, this is not how he planned to do this, but he finally got that GTR out of the picture, but now has an 18-second gap behind his teammate. So with 55 minutes only remaining on the clock, let's just take a quick look at how the leaders are for the NLS 3-hour series. I mean, the 5th round of it. We will keep an eye out on the Alzheimer Racers because they are getting back close to Muku Motorsports, but just to go through a quick, Tadeu Rastek is back into the lead in the race after Black Lab Motors and Muku Motorsports number 2 going for the long pits in the lead. Slow as Fun is currently sitting in 2nd position before the long stop, of course, but still very good position for that Lexus to finish in their best yet position in this series. And currently Black Lab Motors is holding on to 3rd position. In TCR, it's IRT Ethorc Sim Racing who now have an absolute monstrous lead ahead of IRT SNDR Racing. That could also be, not just could, that is also because Kasuni have not done their long stop yet. And contrary to Sanderski, who have done their long stop. Actually, everyone apart from the leader haven't yet. So, and it's Boombox Racing who are currently sitting in the 3rd position in the TCR standings. They actually left Siren's Speed Demons quite far behind them. It's very interesting because at the beginning of the race these two guys were practically glued together. fighting for the third position. I think the Mercedes of Unstable team went off track as it was just we could only see it for a brief second spectating Boombox racing, but sorry, Siren Speed Demons, but the Mercedes went suspiciously fast in that corner. And Rad Sarnevskis from P2 in GT3 is in the pits right now, quite probably for their long stops. So the deal is back into the top 3 standings of the GT3 field now, as we approach a little bit past golden hour at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Just absolutely, I think the need for headlights is absolutely relevant now, as we go for the evening part of the race. Is also always very cool that we always start in broad daylight and finish the race under the artificial lights of the GP track and in the darkness of the forest.
And this BMW chasing this GTR.
Yeah, Mimiki Motorsports and Alzheimer Racers are back at it. Actually, I think we missed Alzheimer Racers getting that position back, because Mimiki Motorsports number 2 were getting their hold on them after their crash on the chicane, but it's a GTR ahead now, although less than a second of gap between the two cars.
It's not there, but he will catch up to the GTR with the speed of this car on the straight lines. We still have some pits for the GT4 and TCRs.
GT3, you mean?
Oh yeah, also GT3s, but I think I saw TCR on the pits and also the McLaren GT4 SP10.
Oh yeah, I was only asking because the the Tatum Restec GT4 team had already done their long pits.
Yeah, so it's the IRT Arctic Sim Racing
Exactly.
on the pits, and I think it was also Tatum Race Tech that came on the pits. I will check on the next lap of this car with the time.
Yeah, it's only Atrox Sim Racing and Alzheimer Racers in GT3 without the long stop done in the entire field. Everyone else had done their mandatory single long stops. It's actually interesting to see Alzheimer Racers holding their long stop for this long. Quite a
I can
long.
see that the steer is just behind Scala Racing Team for P13. And
Yeah, ahead quite soon, not behind, yes. So there's the Ferrari of Fabian Melelier up to 13th position now.
And BZH French has a drive-through from race direction. So maybe a bad action about this team.
Now I don't know if Miyuki Motorsports number 2 is just keeping that gap between them and Alzheimer Racers this stable on purpose or not. It was very interesting to see that they were absolutely side by side and on a stalemate in terms of speed at the end of the Dottingarho Straight. So
And the Ferrari is in the box at the moment.
yep, Steer is in the pits from 17th position. Just had to make that move before they went into the pits. Seemingly that was not at all enough a good exit out of the corner just before the straight, because the Nissan of Alzheimer Racers had absolutely just left Miyuki Motorsports number 2 standing on that straight. So the BMW really needs the slipstream on the straight if they want to catch up to the Nissan. They cannot just power themselves through.
And the Nissan is in the box Yeah, they pit
Yes,
on this lap.
this is how long they held without the long pit stop. Pretty good defense they showed here against Muku Motorsports number 2. And it's the Finnish team now back to 4th position. They actually started 3rd, so essentially number 2 and number 3 teams swapped positions compared to their qualifying results. As Slow as Fun came out of their long pit stop. They are being challenged by Crazy Matador.
And after the penalty, Crazy Matador is P6. Quite a solid race at the moment. They are chasing Slow as Fun for P5.
Absolutely great recovery for the Hungarian team.
And we have another drive-through for Tiger Motorsports Racing for speeding in the pit lane. So Tiger Motorsport, where are they? Oh, they are actually P32. Yeah, they are
They are
P32.
holding the last position now in the grid.
Maybe some crashes and incidents.
In the meantime, Slow as Fun went out and yes, and spun out once again. What happened there for that Lexus?
Maybe after the first spin, the tires were too hot and the throttle was pressed a bit too much.
Yeah, lost
and,
2 positions, not for this Crazy Matador, but Ragtag Crew could also go past Cernavskis. A very unfortunate ending it seems to be for Slow as Fun. They were looking for a very good position in the race, their best so far, but dream might be broken, at least for now. Steer will have yet another involvement. Let's find this Ferrari is in the midfield of the GT3 pack. Right now they are being challenged by Latvian Lightning Locomotives for 16th position. Also, Exerts Motorsport is going against unstable team on the inside, and heading MG took it very wide to the corner. Didn't want too much trouble with Exerts Motorsport. don't think the Lightning locomotives will be anywhere close to get enough slipstream from the Ferrari to get in a good
too
attacking
far.
position, so they will need to wait for the next lap. They want to get that 16th position out of the hands of Steer. Actually, they are just 9 seconds behind P15 unstable team, so with a real push and maybe stable level team making a mistake, that position might be in the reach of whoever will win this fight. So it's long pits done for everyone on the grid right now, so we might see some late tire change or fuel pit stops now, maybe some damage repairs, but as for the long pit stops, everyone is done from their side.
When I move on the inside.
And that was
For
just
the
a
Lexus,
lapped car.
with the blue flags.
But they are aiming to overtake BMW M4 just the way we could see now. Ragtag Crew is getting closer and closer. I mean, more precisely, Slow as Fun. Yes, that was just a blue flagged car, but Slow as Fun is aiming to overtake another similar BMW M4. They could, I think, already see Ragtag Crew in their crosshairs, just a bit less than 5 seconds.
And the first TCR is not very far from the SP10. That was quite surprising when I saw this. Only 10 seconds separates these two cars.
Yeah, if talking about TCRs, it will be actually interesting to see IRT Atrox Sim Racing trying to reacquire that first position. Remember that they did their long stops way after everyone else in their class did, so they will need to overtake the other IRT car. They have 34 minutes to work down those. Ooh, little off track, but nothing major. So they have a bit more than half an hour to wear down that 12-second gap. If I saw it correctly, now it's only a 10-second gap behind IRT SMDR Racing, so Sendersky in the first position and absolutely not just kick their feet up and cruise to the end of the race if they want to be the first winner who is not Adam Cassoni in the NLS 3-hour series, at least in the TCR class. I mean, that's quite a tempting title to hold at this point.
Really pushing that TCR. And there is a problem in front for IRT SNDR. Only 2 seconds now. Maybe a crash.
Yeah, I was just about to say how crazy is that.
Was 10 seconds.
Yeah, actually 12, 13
Oh,
seconds.
yeah.
Oh yes, and the front part of
A
that
lot of
Hyundai
noise.
is looking pretty rough. Actually, I think they lost their headlights.
Yeah. I saw like the gap was 10 seconds and then 2 seconds.
Yeah, immediately just went down. So I don't know if that could be good news for Boombox Racing in the third position. They are 43 seconds behind, so I don't know how heavy of damage could have Michal Sanderski in the first position suffer, but it's certainly interesting thing to keep an eye out for.
Oh, and the two are pitting. Oh,
I cannot decide whether that's a need for a splash and dash maybe, or just straight up tomfoolery from the first two entrants. I mean the first two positions in the TCR field. We gotta give credit for Sendersky, by the way, for that. All through this 2.5 hours, only one single incident point he had acquired. So, talking about a clean driver. Slowly but surely, Slow as Fun is also getting closer and closer to Ragtag Crew. Just as if he was in the bar, Cernavskis is asking for the usual, which is 6th position for him, at least in this series. If they overtake Ragtag Crew, that would be another 25 seconds behind Crazy Matador. I don't know if they could burn down that sort of gap in just a matter of 28 minutes. But before that, they will need to overtake Ragtag Crew, which might not be easy for them. I think quite a lot of time loss will be in for these two guys with that fight. If they do fight for long enough, 47 Racing can actually join them, third-partying them, being only 5 seconds behind Slow as Fun. But that Lexus is just not on the leaderboard only, but visibly getting closer and closer
Yeah.
to the BMW. Something was going on. I don't know if that was a on-purpose position swap between Muku Motorsports number 3 and number 2, but I just saw the number 2 squad getting back ahead of Tony Miller's number 3 car.
Yeah, the position, I think, yeah, they swap position because we saw Tony Miller on the inside, on the main straight line, the finish line, and maybe he was on the pits, but I'm not sure with that. Actually, I'm not. No, he wasn't on the pits. So yeah, it was a deliberate swap by the position of the car on the finish line, and also by the time.
Oh well, these guys can absolutely afford to play around. They both already are very well secured. They're qualifying for the 24-hour race, so but still this would break Miller's streak of scoring a podium position on every race of this series.
Yeah, but 25 minutes left, and he's not very far, so...
That's absolutely true, nothing is over yet.
And the Lexus is really close now.
Yeah, Ragtag crew already kind of going on the inside line, defending, just basically signaling Slow as Fun not to even think about trying to throw that Lexus from that far away.
Oh. Maybe on this straight line. Oh, closing. Oh, yeah.
A
Little
little bit.
contact.
Yep, trading paint a little bit between the two cars. Oh, and Ragtag crew switching to the inside line as a defense move. Let's see if very successfully, because Slow as Fun couldn't get a better exit. We could see the flashing lights of desperation or maybe annoyance by the Lexus. Rightfully so, pretty aggressive battle these guys are having, but nothing I would deem unfair. Let's see if they take the fight to the Nordschleife part, or if they get this deal done in the GP circuit.
Oh, and the
Ooh,
beam
and
jump.
yes, the Rectech crew
Oh,
lost it in a very bad position, and yes, the inside line of that chicane can
and
make your
Velexus
car into
didn't
an
touch him.
airplane.
Velexus touched him a bit, and so it went on the other side.
Yeah, well, Rectech crew certainly did not want that fight to end like that. And as you basically suspected, Muku Motorsports number 3 is all on the tail on the number 2 squad for third position. They have absolutely not given up on the podium spot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
very
damages.
unfortunate end behind the wash, kind of our arrow wash of the number 2 car. I was in that silence because
Oh,
I
and
was
again,
clenching
again.
my jaw, and
Oh,
oh, and very unfortunate end for Muiku Motorsports number 3 from this fight.
and they will lose a lot of time with this. I don't know if they have damages, but maybe with all these contacts, if they don't have damages, I don't really understand.
It would be interesting
And
if they...
Latvian lightning locomotives have a drive-through from race
Oh,
direction.
quite late in the race, just 20 minutes left. But the only lucky thing for Tony Miller is that Crazy Matador is quite far behind them, so they might not lose any positions with this, but still, it's a kind of heartbreaking end to this, because I was looking forward to a very good fight between these two teammates. But as Icarus flew too close to the sun, Tony Miller had flew a little bit too close to his teammate's tail and lost the car in what could be one of the worst locations on the track, as we already discussed this.
Yeah.
This whole section in the forest, basically you lose the car, you just go in the guardrails.
It's a tricky part of this track because when you are behind someone, like you don't always see your braking point if you have one, or maybe you don't lift enough, so your car, or even another case, you turn a bit too late, so your car has more speed, and if you don't take the apex, you go easily with two wheels on the grass, and it's easy to lose it. And on this place, it's quite unpredictable, like where you will be on the track when the car will stop.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be very surgical because, as you said, just one centimeter of your wheel on the grass, or just putting your car on these kind of angled curves a bit too much, or just a bit at all, can just send you flying towards the guardrails.
And fortunately for some drivers on AC, you have like a small you can do small mistakes with like one wheel on the grass, and if you can, you can save it. But like on other games, I think like iRacing, I tried I tried to take it flat out this corner, and if you just put like half a wheel on the grass, you will lose the grip and impossible to save it. So drivers has like a small advantage, but on AC the mistakes are tolerated, and it's not even always like the crash guaranteed.
So 47 Racing is aiming to do what Rakta Crew couldn't, taking P6 out of slowest Fun's hand. The gap between the two cars had been pretty stable around a second and a half. So I wonder if 47 Racing could find just a tiny bit more pace to get closer to Ralph Cernavskis. They have just a bit more than 15 minutes to get themselves together to do so. And in TCR, both IRTS and NDR Racing and Thorx Sim Racing took a little bit different approach for their pit stops, as there is now a 15-second gap between the two cars. Remember that they went into the pits literally together. Even more interesting is that Sandersky had to repair damages. To be fair, if they did need to take a full, or at least almost a full fuel tank, full tank worth of fuel, then I think the damage repair is getting done faster than that, so that doesn't matter at that point. It could have been the case, but still very interesting to see a 15-second gap between these two cars. Just the gap between Slow as Fun and 47 Racing sort of going back and forth. Oh, and the Komura sports car just got back barely into the top 10, got a drive-through for speeding.
And they will lose the top 10. Yeah, what a difficult race for this car, unlike the two other.
Yeah, these guys started second on the grid after the qualifying.
But they got a crash. Like on the start was complicated, and then after they went out on the chicane, and then after they had another problem, like another cut. I don't know if it was also the chicane, but they went out.
Well, very difficult race for them altogether.
And the sunset on the Nordschleife. 15 minutes left to this race. And 50 seconds of gap between P1 and P2. What a race from Tatum Westek.
Exactly, their really long pit stop had actually paid out very well. They were able to recover quite a few positions on track even after that, so credit is absolutely due for them.
And so 3 laps left because we are at the end of the track, so 2 and 75%. No, sorry, 25% of another lap. So basically almost 2 laps left.
Yeah, exactly. There are no extra laps in the overtime, and the clock runs out. So wherever the first person, the first driver leading the GT3 field is when the clock runs out, that's the last lap of the race.
And the Porsche Cup best lap was slower than the TCRs and SP10. That's a bit strange.
They are
Maybe
taking
less aggressive because they just want to qualify for the 24 hours.
I think that absolutely is the case, that they are taking it very, very safe. And they are doing a good job with that, as they only have 11 incident points so far, so well within reach for both of the drivers to qualify for the 24-hour race. I think actually none of them has a valid race so far in the NLS series, so they will need another participation at least, but they will still have 2 runs to do just that. Almost Motorsports kicked from the race.
Oh.
Last time
What
I was
happened?
seeing their name, they were fighting in the top 10 or the top 5.
Yeah. I'm checking that right now. So just to check if we have some information about that.
They had no penalties.
Almost Motorsport, it says that they are driving currently. It's Scala driving at the moment, and they don't have any penalties, only 8 incidents. They done their long pit. Yeah, it says that they are still driving. So that's... Oh, wait. No, I'm actually... Oh yeah, it's not the same car. So, Almost Motorsports, Ivanikov. I'm checking if they have some penalties. No penalties at the moment. That's quite strange.
Well, they are sitting in the pits right now.
Yeah, they are actually... They are P16 at the moment. That's quite strange.
I think they just reconnected to the server. That could be
Maybe
the
a
case.
driver switch, because there are 2 drivers on this list, Ivanikov and Antonov. So that's quite strange.
Yeah, well, both of them have driven quite a few times so far, so yeah, definitely a strange phenomenon. Not a very good end for their race.
And this BMW is catching a battle in the last 10 minutes.
Ooh, that was
close, yeah.
that was a close call with the grass. But let's see that gap. Yeah, that little trouble with the grass might have been just enough not to get a good enough exit, so they could get closer to that Lexus with the slipstream. But you could absolutely argue that being 0.8 seconds behind someone is still better than putting your car in the wall, so they still got away from that tiny mistake safe and sound.
And so, yeah, for the slipstream on AC, it's basically 0.6 of gap, and you're sure to have a slipstream.
From that far back.
Yeah.
Seems like Cernavskis is very strong in the first part of the track, as they have stretched their gap back to more than a second ahead of 47 Racing. And exactly as we have 7 minutes left on the clock, we will have one extra lap apart from this for the leaders, so time is running out for 47 Racing if they want to get 6th position.
Just a little question on the P2 and P3, like the gaps are 49 seconds from P1, P2, and then from P2, P3, 66 seconds, or it's like...
Yes, that's
whoa.
that's the interval, because what's if P3 would have a 66-second gap from first place, that would be called gap, but the interval
Okay.
means that it's always from the car ahead.
Okay, that's quite big.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they have like 110 seconds from the lead for P3. So that's yeah, quite impressive.
So a fight for what I think is P2 in TCR field, yes, between the two IRT cars, just letting that BMW through with small troubles, but safe and sound, everyone get out of that alive. So now Kasuni can go back to concentrating at getting second position out of Sendersky's hands.
Oh, and a little mistake there.
Yep, could absolutely forced it out on the Polish driver, so it's Kasuni up to second position. But knowing Sendersky's pace, he can still be an annoyance for Kasuni for the remaining 1.5 lap they will have left. Oh, and Ragtag Crew also getting a drive-through penalty from currently they're sitting P9, but they were also well in the top 5 of at some point of the race. It is DT. Actually, it will be... I don't know if Miyuki Motorsports will re-overtake them or not. Right now, 87 seconds between the two cars. But that could at least somewhat, a small bit, ease the pain of Miyuki Motorsports, of themselves also getting a late penalty in the race.
And so the leaders have entered the last lap.
That's right, leaders on the final lap. It's pretty crazy what sort of speeds these TCR cars can pull in that straight. Imagine going 270 with a car like this.
Yeah, it must be crazy, honestly.
Oh, unstable team letting Duke Pavero GT through. Just love when drivers have these sort of communications between them. Nice clean move. Seems like unstable team absolutely wants to stay out of any more trouble. Rightfully so. They are on 17 incident points, so only 2 more and only only 3 more and they are out of the qualifying range. That lapped AMG. Oh, not even that.
And yeah, and spin. Oh, say. Oh no.
Not quite.
Oh, oh.
Extremely
And
unfortunate that I don't
yeah,
know if the other BMW couldn't see them spinning. I mean, I don't know if
yeah.
we unfortunately did not have the telemetry open. I don't know if 47 Racing was holding the brakes there because they kind of just slid
I
towards the middle of the track.
I just checked and they were holding the brakes and the car was coming too fast.
Oh, okay.
They put the brakes and unfortunately it was too late. But I just checked and yes, it's like a bad moment and bad placement, fortunately. And the 10 last seconds of this race.
Oh, well, the other BMW came out
57 Racing is again, yeah.
actually worse. That's Exert's Motorsport there.
Yeah.
Now trying to get that BMW back.
Oh, if you are helping
Yeah,
each
both.
other?
Ah, that could have been absolutely the case.
Or maybe he wanted to overtake him before the line.
Either this, either that. Everyone just think about it as they see fit, but that's 47 Racing and Exerts Motorsport into the pits, having overtime in the race. Quite a heavy
I
hit it
wasn't
was.
expecting, yeah, like a crash like that. I think it's one of the most brutal crash of this series right
No,
now.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's two wheels
With
in the air for the BMW of Exerts Motorsport there.
yeah, with like the crash with the Corvette and Lexus.
Exactly, that's the one. That's one I thought of too. It's a classic. Even when a car on a track as narrow as this spins, you can only hope that you won't come to a stop when you are just like in 90-degree angle compared to the track, because if anyone comes behind you, and especially at fast sections like this, you can just put your hands together that they won't collect you.
Yeah, and unfortunately the yellow flags were like a bit too late because the car wasn't really stopped. So the driver behind had no information that one car has spun in front of him. So unfortunately for him, it was unavoidable.
Yeah,
The
sometimes
leader
you...
is on the last sector.
Sometimes you really wish you had a spotter like you would have in the rallycross to avoid these situations.
Final straight line for Tatum Restec car. The Aston Martin. I think it will be the first victory of an Aston Martin on this series.
It will absolutely be. It was only BMWs and the Nissan GTR of Black Lab Motors so far.
I wouldn't have put a pound on the Aston Martin, to be honest, but what a great driving from this team, and what a good race management.
Yeah, maybe not a pound on the Aston Martin, but absolutely all my money on the person who drove it. So it's Simon Iadzi from Tandem Restec who is taking the win for the 5th running of the NLS 3-hour series.
What a drive from him. No mistakes. He just applied the plan and it was good. So really good job from him.
Actually, I don't know if it's a him. I mean, Simone with an E. I don't know if that's both a girl's and boy's name. But also as importantly, Muku Motorsports number 2 and 3 are really taking the fight all to the last moments they can. Approaching the long straight, the slipstream might be decisive for who gets 3rd position in the GT3. Oh, and both of them go out!
Yeah, big crash.
What happened to these guys?
Yeah.
Both of them in the wall, heading for the last time in the long straight.
Yeah, not necessarily the best move, but
I really wonder what happened there. Well, what happened there is that the number 3 car is now ahead.
yeah.
So after all, it seems like it will be Miller retaining his streak of podium finishes, even after that crash and damage repair he had to do. Absolute mental drive from the Finnish driver.
Yeah. What a great recovery.
And just in time, we get to see Boombox Racing winning TCR. I have no clue what happened to the IRT cars, but this is the first time we celebrate someone that is not Adam Kasoni in this class. Sorry, it's Edward Sundakov from Boombox Racing UA.
And only 11 seconds behind at Top Sim Racing.
So we will now have all of the other guys pouring in. Keeping an eye on the map and the leaderboard, whether any positions are still up for grabs. Ooh, imagine getting a DT at this point of the race.
Yeah.
Wonder what Godfrey's racing team committed. Oh, and there's absolutely still fighting going on despite the leaders finishing. It's Gojira Racing Team fighting it out.
Yeah.
With Breaking Bad. Now, at the end of the race, the leaderboard app unfortunately goes absolutely nuts, so we will only be able to see what position this was for when we take a look at the timing. So important to know that Almost Motorsport went ahead and finished the race, so even after being out of the server, they did came back to finish what they started.
And the last corners.
Yep, first race for Tiger Motorsport Racing Team successfully done in the NLS series.
Unfortunately, P29 for them.
Still, we will see after the race if they manage to secure a qualification or not.
Oh yeah, well, like the leaderboard is completely false.
47 Racing also getting the car through the finish line after that horrible crash at the very
Yeah,
end of the race.
that was quite crazy. Oh, almost motorsport, a drive from race direction. Fortunately, it's a bit late.
Yeah, that will most certainly be looked into by Race Direction after the race.
And Godfrey's racing team finishing this race on the pits.
Serving that
Like right
drive-through,
now. Yeah.
making a Schumacher-style finish.
Oh,
Yeah, as they couldn't serve a drive-through, they will get
yeah.
a 60-second penalty to their time. We will see if
And
that affects their position.
the final car came.
So as we are waiting for everyone to leave the server so the timing can finalize the results. Whoa, that was quite a wacky race, especially at the beginning at this and at the end of the race we saw quite a lot of accidents. And I
Yeah.
think this was this might have been the most crashes we've got on camera during the series, especially at the start, like even before the green light, the rolling start procedure, we already saw some troubles for some drivers.
Yeah, it was a bit more chaotic than the other times, but yeah, good job to all the drivers, first of all. And we hope that you will qualify for this 24-hour race.
Absolutely. So the results we will take a look at shortly. I I think we could call them just provisional, as they will be the stewards will have quite the work to review all those accidents we saw. So, after 3 hours, let us just take a look at how we round up after the 5th running of the NLS 3-hour series. So, starting with GT3, Tedem Restek with Simone Iazzi behind the wheel came back and conquered, taking an absolute dominant win on this race. I don't remember, 55 seconds ahead of Black Lab Motors, who aren't a slow team either. This is a very clear call for arms and colorful battle for looking ahead for the 24-hour race. And in the third position is Muiki Motorsports number 3, with Tony Miller getting that third position in a particularly weird way out of the hands of their teammate Iro Lapila, who could finish fourth in this race. In P5, Crazy Matador, and look at that, started 27th and recovered back to 5th position. Absolute crazy drive by the Hungarian driver. Behind them, the Mr. Consistency Ralph Cernevskis with the slowest fun team, once again finishing 6th, even after all those troubles and accidents he went through. So behind them is Alzheimer Racers, also quite some troubles for this team, just as well as Muiku Motorsports and 47 Racing, who could still bring those cars back into the top 10, and 47 Racing and Breaking Bad closing off the top 10 of this standings. Behind them to go through Latvian Lightning Locomotives, Steer, which the Ferrari in the hands of Fabian Meyer was brought back to. I think P12 is actually quite nice compared to where we saw that Ferrari during the race. So good drive from the Italian driver. Behind them are Duck, Pavaro, GT, and Unstable little team. with a new driver. Actually, let me just take a peek at 17 incident points for unstable team. So the all the incidents will be reviewed. So this is all provisional, but they might secure another qualifications for their other teammates with this race. So behind them in 15th position is Burpro, 16th is Gojira Racing Team, and behind them 17 Exers Motorsport, Strandkorlát Motorsport, and Family Team, 3 Hungarian teams trailing each other for 17th, 18th, and 19th positions. And the 20th, we've got Almost Motorsport and Tiger Motorsport Racing Team close down the field of GT3 cars who could finish this race. With Ragtag Crew having an absolute bummer. These guys were running in, I think, what was at least the top, not just the top 10, but the top 5 at some parts of the races, but having to take a very tough DNF at the very end of the race. So moving on to the TCR standings now. It was Boombox Racing UA with Eduard Sundukov who won the 5th running of the NLS 3-hour series. Behind them are the 2 IRT guys, Adam Kasoni and Michał Sendersky, finishing the race in the 2nd and 3rd positions. In 4th, Makareo Salsicha, followed by Godfrey's Racing Team. And since Siren Speed Demons and via by DNF'd, Godfrey's Racing Team won't really be affected by that 1 minute penalty from that drive-through they accumulated at the very end of the race. And actually, it's also a heartbreak to see Siren Speed Demons having a DNF next to their name, because they were fighting for 3rd position with Boombox Racing. And looking at where Boombox Racing ended up, I wonder what could have been if the Speed Demons could have stood close enough to them.
Yeah, the car was just fighting for the podium, but unfortunately they didn't finish the race due to mostly, I think, incidents like some crash or other issues. But they know they have the pace. They had the pace today to battle for podium, so it's important. There are still some races, so they can do better on the next one.
So in SP10, the only competitor, Tadum Res Tech, could finish the race with just 10 incident points. So they will also secure some qualifying, a qualifying race for their 2 drivers. And last but not least, of course, the lovely Potato Racing with Vincent Meyer and Joel Leiterbach, also 12 incident points, so they are also safe and sound for this round regarding their qualification for the 24-hour race. Bear in mind that for both drivers, this is only one done, so they will need to do at least one other race as nicely and safely as they done now. And when can they do that is only now. We have 2 rounds left from the NLS 3-hour series, which means that if anyone who couldn't get a one single qualification round in, this is pretty much the last chance, as remember, you need 2 rounds meeting the criteria for if you want to qualify for the NLS 24 hours. So 2 weeks later, we will have the 6th round of the 3-hour series at the usual 6 p.m. CEST time. And between that, as always, every week we have our 3 NLS Sprint Series races, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, starting at 7 p.m. And at the end of August, we will also have the next round of the Duet Racing Series. This is a 6-hour quite kind of similar to this 6-hour 2-driver championship. So it's a pretty cool endurance racing. Next round will be Kailami, pretty awesome circuit for endurance racing at the 29th of August. So this is how we round up for the round 5 of the NLS 3-hour series. As I said, quite an how do I say it, aggressive race. Maybe it was from the aspect that we had quite a lot of accidents, but we could see some.
Tonight people were like more aggressive, less they on the overtakes. They tried some overtakes that were like a bit crazy, a bit like dive bombs, as we saw on the carousel.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
that was the one I was immediately thinking about.
yeah. So people was less care. They take care less of the cars today. They were risking it a bit more, but it was fun to watch and very spectacular.
I think that couldn't have been said better by myself. It was absolute fun to watch. So, congratulations to every racer who finished the race, not just necessarily in the first positions, although excellent job by those who finished on the podium, but everyone who finishes a race on this track. That's hats off by me. And also thank you very much for you keeping up this sort of attendance for these races. It really means a lot, and everyone is still welcome. Even if you don't want to race in the 24 hours race, you're absolutely welcome to join any of the sprint series or the 3-hour series races to join the racing action here. So thanks for everyone who participates on our races and or watches our streams. We absolutely do this just for you and for all of us to have fun.
Yeah, thank you for having followed this race. As you said, you're welcome even if you don't want to make the 24 hours, you're welcome to participate to this 4-hour race. And yeah, it was amazing to watch. We hope that on the next race it will be the same. And since then, take care of you guys and see you next time.
Absolutely, and just try to stay as cold as you can and hydrate as much as you can in this absolute massive heat wave going on all around the world. It's unbearable what we have to bear it. So stay safe, everyone, and see you next time.